This is channel Xianxia Audio. Please support me a subscription. This is the series I'm Not a Theater God. Chapter 41. Beneath the Skin. Watching Chen Ling's head transform into a gun barrel, Xu Muyan and the Shadow Man were both stunned. Bang! Chen Ling's vocal cords simulated a gunshot. A blinding flash of fire erupted from the muzzle. The two figures standing directly in front, recovering from their shock, quickly dodged. They moved dozens of meters across the snow at an astonishing speed before stopping. They looked back, only to find that no bullets were actually fired from the gun barrel, only continuous sparks burst from the muzzle, seemingly mimicking the act of shooting. This, the Shadow Man asked blankly. Did Fang Kuei 7 ever mention that Thousand Faces could turn into a gun barrel? No. Xu Muyan shook his head. Thousand Faces is a disguise ability, only capable of changing appearance. But he seems to be able to change even objects. That's too abnormal. Is this the power of that twisted divine path? But great power usually means a greater price. Xu Muyan calmly gazed at the red-clothed figure in the snow, who imagined himself as a gun barrel, his expression somewhat complex. Bang, bang, bang. The gun barrel that Chen Ling had transformed into continuously fired into nothingness, like a soulless automaton, until his muzzle saw Xianxia and the other two, who were frozen in fear beneath the house. He suddenly stopped. He seemed to be thinking. He still retains some sanity? The Shadow Man asked in surprise. It should be said, instinct, Xu Muyan said indifferently. The instinct for revenge. At the same time, Xianxia and the other two, targeted by the muzzle, turned pale again. They had just witnessed Chen Ling re-establish his divine path, tear his body apart, and then become a madman. Sputtering, the continuous cognitive shocks had almost caused their brains to shut down. Damn it, why aren't you dead? Why aren't you dead yet? Xianxia roared, raising his gun again and repeatedly pulling the trigger at the red-clothed monster. Bullets struck Chen Ling's body, splattering streaks of blood. Even though his appearance had changed into a gun, the hardness of his flesh had not significantly increased, as if he had only changed his skin. The next moment, a layer of skin was peeled from Chen Ling's face again. The original large and eerie gun barrel disappeared, replaced by the appearance of a Dan Zhao, with red makeup like an apricot blossom and eyebrows like hooks. From the eyebrows and eyes, he bore an 80 to 90% resemblance to the deceased Chen Yan. The large red opera robe slowly stepped through the accumulated snow, like the only vermilion in a pale world. The Dan Zhao stared intently at Xianxia and the other two. His lips slightly parted, and then Chen Yan's melodious and highly penetrating singing echoed above the residence. The little nun, 16 years of age, in her prime, had her hair shorn by her master. Every day, in the Buddhist hall, she burns incense and changes water. Seeing several disciples playing below the mountain gate, the opera singing was continuous, and the red clothes trailed after images, instantly disappearing from the spot. Xianxia only felt a blur before his eyes, and one of his wrists was cut open by a dagger. He cried out in pain, and his gun fell from his hand into the snow. He immediately tried to reach into his embrace with his other hand to pull out another ritual artifact. But a cold glint flashed, and his other hand also floated lightly from his arm. He looked at us, and we gazed at him. Beneath the apricot-like eye makeup, a pair of hollow pupils stared intently at Xianxia, almost pressed against his face. Chen Ling, I know I was wrong. Xianxia's features twisted wildly from the intense pain, but fear dominated his heart even more. Please let me go. I'll give you all my money. I'll never again. Puff. A sharp glint pierced through Xianxia's chin, and his plea abruptly ceased. He and we and he, both deeply entangled. Xianxia's body fell stiffly into the snow. The Dan Zhao slowly pulled out the dagger, his gaze shifting to the only two enforcers remaining in the residence. The two cried out in alarm, completely lacking any will to resist, and turned to run towards the residence gate. At the same time, the Dan Zhao glided lightly across the ground, his wide sleeves fluttering like butterfly wings, and the cold gleam of the dagger traced an elegant arc in the snow. With two streaks of blood splattering forth, he slowly stopped. As the last two bodies fell, the entire residence was stained with blood. The red-clothed figure stood amidst the corpses, blood dripping along the blade, like a demon emerging from hell. After an unknown period, Chen Yan's face dissipated, and Chen Ling returned to his original appearance. He stood alone in the sea of blood, the dagger gently slipping to the ground. As a cold gust of wind swept by, his entire body, like withered grass, fell backward to the ground. Finally, "It's over." Chu Muyan and the other man walked over from a distance, looking at the unconscious Chen Ling, and let out a long sigh. A fusion person of a world-ending level disaster, who has embarked on a twisted divine path. From now on, he is destined to be an anomaly, the Shadow Man said slowly. Isn't being an anomaly the best? Chu Muyan's lips curved upwards. The Twilight Society takes in anomalies. Are you really sure you want to bring him into the Twilight Society? Not me. Chu Muyan took out an envelope from his coat pocket, holding it between his fingers. On the envelope's cover, a red Joker card was printed. It's the Red King. ... Boom. A deafening roar came from nothingness, and the swirling snow instantly shattered. In the wilderness several kilometers from the residence, a boy, idly poking a branch, suddenly looked up in surprise at what was before him. In the center of the plum blossom ate in the snow. A grotesque crack spread wildly. Han Meng's hands reached out from the crack, grabbed its edge, and pulled hard. The plum blossom ate shattered in response, and Han Meng's body completely passed through the void. His black trench coat was covered in dust and blood clots, and he looked utterly disheveled. He actually broke through? The boy covered his mouth in surprise, or rather, the large hole on the white paper representing his mouth. Han Meng's chest heaved violently. The previous action seemed to have exhausted him considerably. He stared intently at the little boy sitting in place, and without hesitation, he raised his gun. Don't be so agitated. I admit I underestimated you a bit just now. I didn't expect there to actually be a genius in the Aurora domain. The boy said, propping his chin with interest. Your name is Han Meng, right? Do you want to join our Twilight Society? No interest. Han Meng's voice was bone-chilling. A filthy organization composed of madmen and executioners. When did it dare to appear openly in the human realm? Tisk. It seems you have a deep prejudice against us. That's a fact. An invisible domain unfolded around Han Meng. Human Convention Article 139, regardless of the realm. Any Twilight Society member discovered shall immediately be placed on the highest level hunt list for that realm, with priority even above the Fusion faction and the Fire Usurpers. You are mortal enemies with the human realm. Don't say that. We haven't done anything heinous. The boy said, displeased. Really? Han Meng sneered. Including annihilating an entire human realm? Chapter 42, Secret Eye. The boy raised an eyebrow, about to say something, when an arc of light shot up into the sky from the mansion behind him. So, people have a lot of prejudice against us. You know? The boy waved his hand casually. I'm not talking to you anymore, you'll understand someday. Han Meng's eyes narrowed, and he immediately pulled the trigger. The buzzing gunshots rang out. The strong wind lifted the hem of his trench coat, and the deconstruction bullet, which annihilated everything, pierced through the boy's body, leaving a head-sized hole. However, the bullet passed through his body without leaving any blood, and the boy's figure gradually turned pale, like a faded painting. Han Meng, right? I'll remember you, see you again if fate allows. The boy's body became increasingly flat, and within a few seconds, it transformed into a simple line drawing without thickness, which was blown onto Han Meng's face by the cold wind. Han Meng frowned deeply. He took off the portrait and saw the boy wearing a white paper mask sitting cross-legged in the painting, while also extending a middle finger at him. He tore the portrait to shreds on the spot. The Twilight Society has appeared in the Aurora realm. This is troublesome now. Han Meng took a deep breath, glanced in the direction of the mansion, and walked straight ahead. No one stopped him, and Han Meng soon arrived at the mansion's entrance. He pushed open the large door with force. Amidst a harsh creaking sound, a ground full of corpses came into his view. On the bloody ground, 9 silver coins were scattered. Of the 22 people at the Bingchen Street celebration, none survived. Ellipsis. Chen Ling slowly opened his eyes. He saw the spotlight above his head and covered his eyes with his hand. But he didn't immediately stand up. He lay on the stage floor, as quiet as a corpse. In just a few hours, he had experienced too much. Chen Yan's disappearance, the cruel truth, the furious revenge, the salvation he thought he could have, then despair, and then a glimmer of hope. All of this left Chen Ling numb and desperate. How he wished all of this was a dream. That upon waking, his mother would call him for breakfast, and then he would hurriedly put on his clothes, wear his work badge, and continue being a corporate slave at the theater. Unfortunately, what awaited him was still that dead and eerie theater. After a long time, Chen Ling finally sat up slowly. He looked at the dense, crimson eyes in front of the stage, his heart filled with complicated emotions. Even if he embarked on the drama god path, would he truly be able to escape this group of audiences someday? Or would he just become more interesting in their eyes? Chen Ling had no answer. But at least, he now had a reason to live. However, reluctantly, he stood up from the floor and walked to the large screen in the center of the stage. A series of characters came into view. Audience expectation value +1. Audience expectation value +1. Audience expectation value? Current expectation value, 77%. Detected loss of actor connection. Performance interrupted. Audience expectation value -50 inches. Current expectation value, 27%. These were the changes in expectation value that occurred in the mansion. And after Qian Fan shot him once, he had already lost a connection, deducting 50% of the expectation value. But perhaps because the expectation value remained above 20% after the deduction. Not a single audience member escaped. As long as I control the total expectation value, even if I die, the situation of my body being usurped like last time won't occur. It's a chance to be resurrected. However, it's not easy to raise the expectation value above 70. Chen Ling's gaze fell on the corner of the screen, where the flickering treasure chest icon reappeared. He tapped his fingertip, and exhilarating music began to play, accompanied by the stage lights. When Chen Ling turned his head, a table had appeared in the center of the stage. Detected audience expectation value exceeding 70% for the first time. Unlocking achievement, highly praised. You have gained 1 extra lottery draw right. After use, you will randomly learn a character skill from all characters who appeared in this play. Chen Ling walked to the table, and cards of various colors and patterns appeared out of thin air on the tabletop. Like last time, most were white and gray, but the number of blue cards had increased compared to the previous time. There must have been new characters, bringing with them an increase in skill cards. As Chen Ling waved his finger, numerous cards simultaneously flipped face down. The uniform card backs flashed at an astonishing speed, and after a moment, they settled neatly in place. Last time, Chen Ling drew Han Meng's Killing Rhapsody here, which changed his destiny in one fell swoop. This time, would the god of luck still favor him and draw a skill card capable of turning the tide of battle? Chen Ling hesitated for a moment, then raised his fingertip and tapped one of the cards. The card flipped over. A hint of blue appeared before Chen Ling's eyes. Skill. Secret Eye. Affiliation. Medical God Dao. Blood Slaughter Path. First stage. Character. Xu Muyan. The moment he saw this card's information, Chen Ling's eyes narrowed slightly. Drawing Xu Muyan's skill card was within Chen Ling's expectations. But the large words, blood slaughter, made him feel a sense of doubt. Was this path really part of the medical god Dao? As Chen Ling absorbed the card, the method for using Secret Eye appeared in his mind. Unlike the Soldier God Path's Killing Rhapsody, Secret Eye was more of a support skill. Its purpose was to help the user better capture, analyze, and discern details. A good doctor can determine the severity of an illness through a patient's behavior and demeanor. This includes psychologists, who can even confirm a person's thoughts and even predict future actions through their micro-expressions. Secret Eye elevates this ability to its peak. As Chen Ling finished drawing the ability, the cards on the table simultaneously disappeared, but the table itself remained standing there. What does this mean? Chen Ling walked forward and found a new piece of paper on the tabletop. On the paper, a few lines of small text were also written. Congratulations on completing the play. Initial chapter, Heartless. Highest audience expectation value for this play, 78%. You have gained 1 designated lottery draw right. After use, you can designate a character from all characters who appeared in this play and randomly draw their ability. The probability of drawing rare skills is related to the overall audience expectation value of this play. After reading all the text, pages of paper suddenly appeared out of thin air on the tabletop under the spotlight, with countless words displayed on them. Who am I? Boom! Pale lightning flashed through the inky clouds. Rain poured down, and a god-like thunderstorm drenched the muddy ground. Chapter 43, First Act. Chen Ling's gaze swept over the first few lines, and as he turned the pages, he saw many familiar scenes and sentences, as if everything he had experienced over the past few days had been compiled into a play and recorded there. It's you. From behind the wooden table, a man in a Dr. White coat slightly turned his body. Here to get medicine for your brother again? Didn't he transfer to the hospital in the 2nd district? A Ling, you are already dead. You shouldn't be here. Chen Tan's eyes were bloodshot. He gripped his axe tightly and spoke hoarsely. No matter what is occupying your body, I will free you. A low rumble of thunder flashed across the dim sky. Don't be afraid, big brother, Chen Yan said softly. I helped you bury him. Hello everyone. I am Enforcement Officer Chen Ling. Are you ready to answer my questions? Rather than be a puppet for a lifetime, Chen Ling would rather choose death. Monster. An enforcer shouted in horror. He's not human. He's a monster. And the last line was a descriptive text. He stood alone in a sea of blood, his dagger gently sliding to the ground. And as a wisp of cold wind blew past, his entire body, like withered grass, fell backward to the ground. Seeing this, Chen Ling only felt his scalp tingle, although he had long been aware that he was being watched. It was only at this moment that he truly felt the strangeness of it. Most importantly, what Chen Ling could see was only his own part of the play. Everything that happened when he was not present was blocked by thick black lines. Even he, the protagonist, did not have full review rights of this script. Writing it into a play based on my personal experience, Chen Ling murmured to himself. As the last line ended, these papers automatically bound themselves into a book in the void and fell into Chen Ling's hand, with several lines of text on the cover particularly striking. First Act, Chapter 1, Heartless, starring Chen Ling. Other cast: Chen Yan, Han Meng, Xu Muyan, Chen Tan, etc. At the same time, in the corner of the stage, a wooden bookshelf appeared out of thin air. Chen Ling looked deeply at the script in his hand, and after a long time, he walked towards the bookshelf. He placed this script on the far left of the first shelf, with the words, Heartless, on the spine facing outwards, clearly visible. Just as Chen Ling was about to turn around to make his second designated draw, a familiar voice sounded in his ear. Intermission over. Please continue the performance. The black curtain slowly opened. Chen Ling's consciousness left the theater and drifted into the void. You're awake? As Chen Ling opened his eyes, Xu Muyan's voice drifted from the side. The heater was running in the room. Xu Muyan had already taken off his wool coat and was wearing a shirt and vest, sitting quietly in a chair by the window, engrossed in a medical book. Before he could say another word, a short knife had flashed like lightning to his throat, and the chilling killing intent instantly extinguished the candles. In the dim room, Xu Muyan's eyelids twitched as he looked at the red-clad figure before him and slowly spoke. It seems that divine path indeed affected your personality. Is your killing intent that strong? You knew Ion was fake, yet you pretended nothing was wrong and stayed for so many days. What's your purpose? Chen Ling's eyes flickered with a fierce glint. I'm a doctor. I came to the 3rd district, of course, to treat your illness. Xu Muyan closed his book. If I had ill intentions towards you, you would have died countless times by now. Chen Ling stared at Xu Muyan. How much do you know? Unfortunately, I know everything. How much is everything? What do you think? Xu Muyan's lips curved into an arc. He slightly turned his body towards Chen Ling. I'm very curious. How are you able to maintain your sanity while fusing with a world-ending calamity? Or rather, how are you balanced? Upon hearing this, Chen Ling's pupils suddenly constricted. Ever since their first meeting, when Xu Muyan tried every means to stay, the other party should have already sensed something was wrong. In the following days, he had been observing himself, even proactively speaking and subtly probing about Chen Yan's characteristics. This man with silver-rimmed glasses, who appeared refined, was the one with the deepest schemes. But Chen Ling hadn't expected that the other party would, with a single opening, expose his identity as a fusion person, and even his audience level. So, what do you plan to do? Chen Ling retorted. Split open my brain to take a look? Hand me over to the enforcement officer? Or use this to threaten me into doing something for you? To be honest, I'm very interested in the first thing. Xu Muyan spread his hands helplessly. Unfortunately, my superior won't allow it. As for the second point, that's even more impossible. If I go with you to the enforcer headquarters, I'd be the first one arrested. Your superior? Chen Ling keenly grasped the key point. Aren't you Aurora City's divine doctor? Who is your superior? The dean? Divine doctor is just an identity I fabricated to infiltrate Aurora City. Then what is your true identity? Have you heard of the Twilight Society? Chen Ling shook his head. The Twilight Society is a secret organization established outside the human realm's 9. No. Now it should be 8 realms. All members are numbered by playing card ranks and secretly infiltrate various major human realms to conduct covert activities. Sounds like it's not a righteous organization. No, we are a righteous organization. Chu Muyan pushed up his glasses and smiled. It's just that in the eyes of the world, our righteousness represents absolute evil. Sorry, I'm not interested in joining a cult. Chen Ling had heard countless brainwashing tactics from such cults or pyramid schemes in his previous life, which were nothing more than instilling twisted ideologies to control people's minds. Even though he carried a calamity in this life, he had no intention of degenerating. So, we're not a cult, it's just that our ideals conflict with this era. Chu Muyan patiently explained. Moreover, our salaries are very high, about 10 times that of an enforcement officer. 10 times? Chen Ling looked at him in surprise, then shook his head. But money doesn't mean much to me, even if I have money. I need to be alive to spend it. If it were in his previous life, Chen Ling would certainly be tempted by a 10-fold salary. But it was different now. Chen Ling's biggest goal now was to break free from the control of the audience. Everything else was fleeting to him. We also have many resource channels. If you encounter a bottleneck in the process of ascending the divine path, you can ask other members for help. Do you have many members? Currently, there are about 20-something still alive. Quote. Let's talk about our righteousness. Chapter 44 Interrogation. Number need. Chen Ling put away his short knife and took a deep breath. Let me think about it first. Chu Muyan slowly leaned back in his chair, seemingly unsurprised by this outcome. He didn't try to keep Chen Ling, but simply said calmly, no problem, when you've made up your mind, you can come to Xiao Fang's grocery store to find me anytime. I'll be here all day today, waiting for you. Chen Ling stood up, about to leave, when Chu Muyan took a small silver fang kuei from his pocket and handed it to him. What is this? A gift from my superior. Chu Muyan said faintly. Through it, you might understand us a little better? Chen Ling took the fang kuei, examined it in his hand for a moment, and nodded slightly. Okay, thank you. Also, pay attention to your mental state. Don't be influenced by the twisted divine path. Your path is very sinister. Chen Ling didn't answer. He had also noticed that ever since he embarked on that path, his emotions had become somewhat strange. He needed to calm down and think carefully. Leaving the room, Chen Ling went up the stairs and finally arrived at a small convenience store. The woman sleeping behind the counter looked up at him, then went back to sleep. Chen Ling had some impression of this Xiao Fang's grocery store. Although it was far from Han Shuang Street, the items sold inside were very cheap. He used to occasionally bring Chen Yan here to buy things during the new year. He never expected this place to be the stronghold of Chu Muyan's organization. Chen Ling had no intention of chatting with the woman and pushed the door open. The heavy snow did not stop with the end of the first act, it continued to fall, scattering across the human world. The accumulated snow now exceeded his ankles, making walking increasingly difficult. Chen Ling identified the direction and walked straight towards Han Shuang Street. He didn't know why he was going back, there was nothing left there. But besides Han Shuang Street, where else could he go? Chen Ling didn't know that the small house on Han Shuang Street was his only sanctuary in this world. Even if this sanctuary hadn't left him with many good memories. Chen Ling. As soon as Chen Ling reached the vicinity of his home, a voice sounded from not far away. Wu Yudong, moving swiftly, glided through the snow and came before him. Chen Ling, where did you go earlier? Are you feeling better? Why are you here? Chen Ling looked at Wu Yudong in surprise. Just a few hours ago, he was leaning on a crutch, half dead, but now he was moving freely and looked vibrant. I came to thank the miracle doctor, Wu Yudong said excitedly. It was that man who lived in your house. He's amazing. I just remember talking to him. Then suddenly everything went black. And when I woke up again, my leg was fine. The doctor at the clinic said I'd need half a year of rest and there was a high chance of lingering issues, but he cured me in an instant. I used to get knee and joint pain whenever it was cloudy or rainy from an old injury when I did heavy labor. But now I don't feel anything at all. And most importantly, I feel like I've grown taller. Chen Ling examined Wu Yudong and clearly felt that he had indeed grown taller before. His head only reached Chen Ling's chin, but now it was close to his nose. Chu Muyan, that amazing? He's already left. Chen Ling paused, then added, and most likely, he won't be coming back. Wu Yudong was stunned, his face revealing undeniable disappointment. Alright, then I'll head back first. Watching Wu Yudong leave, Chen Ling returned to his doorstep. Just as he was about to push the door, his hand, suspended in midair, suddenly stopped. He looked at the old doorframe. His eyes narrowed, and a faint glimmer flashed in his pupils. The extreme detail observation ability brought by the secret eye instantly locked onto the tiny snow stains on the doorframe. No, someone had entered the house while he was away. And most likely, they hadn't come out. Chen Ling cautiously withdrew his arm and silently retreated 2 steps in the snow. Just then, a voice slowly sounded from inside the house. Good observation skills. Come in. It was Han Meng's voice. As deep as ever. You wouldn't think you could stay away from home your whole life. Would you? Seeing his whereabouts exposed, Chen Ling frowned. After a moment of hesitation, he still pushed the door open forcefully. What are you doing in my house? He looked at Han Meng, who was sitting at the dining table, and asked in a deep voice. Investigating. How is this different from a burglar breaking into an empty house? Enforcers have the right to enforce the law and investigate. Do I still need to explain this to you? Han Meng tapped the table with his knuckles. Don't say I just came in to investigate, even if I burned the house down. What could you do? Chen Ling's gaze grew colder. But I really didn't expect you to know Chu Muyan. How did you two meet? Does it concern you? I am currently questioning you as the 3rd District Law Enforcement Officer Chief. Chen Ling, watch your attitude. Han Meng's gaze narrowed slightly, and a strange sense of pressure suddenly enveloped the living room. Chen Ling met his gaze for a long time, then slowly spoke. Lin Doctor from the street corner clinic introduced him. Why did you go to a doctor? I wasn't feeling well at the time. Not feeling well, and you needed to call Chu Muyan? Are you truly not feeling well? Or, is your mind suffering from Grey Realm contamination? Han Meng's gaze suddenly sharpened, like an eagle that could see into people's hearts. Chen Ling's mind trembled. In front of Han Meng, he suddenly felt like he had nowhere to hide. The night the disaster occurred, you spoke to Zhang Qin, saying your younger brother was squatting at the street corner. However, I happened to be investigating Bingchen Street in the 2nd District today and found that your younger brother, Chen Yan, had all his organs removed and died an unnatural death a few days ago. So, who was the younger brother you spoke of that night? Quote. I searched the entire house and only found traces of 2 people living here. You and Chu Muyan, but why are there 3 bowls in the sink? Who was that bowl for? Quote. Before I came, I spoke to Wu Yudong. He said you were lighting candles alone in the house. And then, enough. Chen Ling suddenly stood up, his eyes bloodshot. Yes, I'm crazy, alright? My mind is messed up. I can see Ayan. I feel like he's right beside me. Just a while ago, he was still building a snowman at the door, blowing out candles with me in the house. He said he wanted to go back to school, wanted to sing opera at the New Year's Eve party. To me, he's a living person. He's just a normal kid. He got sick. He wanted to get better. Wanted to be able to stand on stage and perform openly one day. What did he do wrong? Han Meng, you're here now, aggressively interrogating me. But where were you when those people on Bingchen Street killed my younger brother? When they colluded with enforcers, forcing one ordinary person after another to their deaths. Where were you then? Where's your right to investigate? Where's your right to enforce the law? Han Meng's body suddenly trembled. Chen Ling's chest heaved violently. He stared intently into Han Meng's eyes. Han Meng's originally calm eyes constricted slightly, and he unconsciously avoided Chen Ling's gaze. He just sat there quietly, head bowed, like a statue. Chapter 45, the USB drive. After an unknown amount of time, Chen Ling finally calmed down and spoke coldly. Officer Han Meng, if your questioning is over, please leave my house. Han Meng didn't speak again. He silently stood up and walked towards the door. He pushed open the door, and swirling snowflakes drifted into the room. His 4-patterned black trench coat fluttered slightly. He paused for a moment, then turned to look at Chen Ling. Whether you believe me or not, I have always been fulfilling my duty. If you truly feel that this world lacks justice, why not become it yourself? You passed the martial arts test as the first place reserve, and now you are a formal enforcer. You can report to headquarters tomorrow. Also, the qualification to enter the Soldier's Path Ancient Treasury is also yours. After saying this, he stepped into the heavy snow, and his black trench coat gradually disappeared at the end of the street. Chen Ling's gaze swept across the empty room, his expression somewhat complex. Once Han Meng was far away. He also left the house and walked towards the back mountain. Ellipsis. Chuwu. Chen Ling, carrying the uncut cake, slowly sat down in the accumulated snow. "Ayan, I'm here," he said softly, looking at the pockmarked pit he had dug in front of him. Snowflakes clung to the young man's temples. Like white hair, he plucked the candles from the cake one by one and stuck them into the snow. "You've already made your wish before, so I won't light the candles. I'll cut the cake for you." Chen Ling pulled out a plastic knife from the packaging box and slowly cut the cake into 2 halves. One half was neatly placed in front of the pit, and he took his own portion from the box. Ice and snow covered the surface of the cake with the wind. Chen Ling took a bite, unsure if it was cream or ice shards. As he chewed, he spoke indistinctly. "Ayan, do you know? This world is truly messed up. This cake is so bad. Yet it costs 200 copper coins. In my original world, a 200 yuan cake would be bigger and much tastier than this. If I had the chance, I'd really like to take you back. Although your brother is also a corporate slave, the money I earn would be enough for you to live comfortably. But then again, if you came back with me, you'd definitely live better than I do. You're good looking and sing well. If you just became a short video blogger, you'd have millions of fans. A true inheritor of traditional Chinese culture." Chen Ling's face was red from the cold wind. He took several fierce bites of the cake and looked up at the sky. "But there are good things here too. The aurora here is beautiful, whether it's day or night. But what's the use of being beautiful? Just to survive, I already have to give it my all. The path you gave me seems very powerful, but it also seems to affect my mind. Is this what you meant by difficulties? Han Meng wants me to join the enforcers. But the world annihilation calamity on me is a ticking time bomb. Once it erupts, I'll become the target of all. So, does joining that society count as a direct solution? Instead of letting them discover me and capture me, why not just go to their opposite side from the start? Ayan, what do you think I should do next?" Chen Ling muttered to himself. Facing the pit. Clatter. Just then, something slipped out of his pocket and fell into the snow. Chen Ling picked up the object. It was the small silver fang kuei that Chu Muyan had given him earlier. In the bitter cold wind, it felt chillingly cold to the touch. Chen Ling remembered Chu Muyan saying that this thing might help him understand them better. But how was this thing used? He fiddled with the small silver fang kuei in his hand for a long time. With a gentle push of his fingertip, a silver sliding cover detached from the main body, revealing a section of silver metal with some square holes. It looked exactly like a standard USB drive. Chen Ling stared at the USB drive in his hand. His mind filled with confusion. Ever since he came to this world, Chen Ling had always thought its technological level was roughly equivalent to the Republic of China era in his previous world: oil lamps, rickshaws, salt to melt snow, old-fashioned pistols. But seeing this USB drive, Chen Ling was suddenly dumbfounded. Was this thing supposed to appear in this world? Where would this world get computers? Without a computer, where would this USB drive be plugged in? One question after another flashed through Chen Ling's mind. He instinctively picked up the USB drive and inserted it into the snow beneath him. The next moment, a string of dark green code automatically appeared on the snow. Idaho 129439. Reading complete. Chen Ling's eyes rolled back, and he fainted on the spot. Ellipsis. Whoosh. The sound of rushing water echoed in his ears. Chen Ling suddenly opened his eyes, as if waking from a nightmare. His back soaked in cold sweat. He had left Chuwu at some point and arrived in a small square space. The sound of a toilet flushing gradually faded, replaced by a series of urgent knocks on the door. "Brother, are you done? I can't hold it anymore." Chen Ling regained his senses, his gaze quickly sweeping around. A restroom? Chen Ling's eyes widened in surprise. It wasn't the old, dilapidated restroom in his Han Shuang Street home, but a clean, bright, modern restroom. Both the motion sensor light above and the Toto toilet behind him gave Chen Ling a strong sense of familiarity. "I came back?" Chen Ling's eyes were filled with confusion. "Brother, if you're going to put on your pants, do it quickly. If you don't, I really can't hold it anymore." The man's voice outside the door was full of anxiety. Chen Ling immediately pushed open the restroom door. The man in a polo shirt at the door was overjoyed, squeezed sideways into the stall, and slammed the door shut, followed by a comfortable groan. Chen Ling looked around, instinctively quickening his pace as he walked out of the restroom. The first thing that caught his eye was Heitea. Next to it were KFC, Muji, Zhou Heiya, Da Niang dumplings. Looking at these familiar brands and the pedestrians walking around the mall, Chen Ling's pupils slightly contracted, as if he had thought of something. He frantically started running, pushing through the crowd, and rushing out of the mall amidst countless strange glances. The moment he saw the tall buildings, only one thought remained in Chen Ling's mind. He really came back. Did I have a dream? Chen Ling hugged his head, muttering to himself, no, if it was a dream, why would I wake up in a restroom? Just now I was in Chuwu, talking to Ayan, then I plugged the USB drive into the snow. And then, was it that USB drive? Just as Chen Ling was muttering to himself, the large screen on the building opposite suddenly flickered. We interrupt this program for a breaking news report. At 9 o'clock this morning, a red meteor grazed the Earth, and at the same time, extremely localized earthquakes erupted across the country. Within just 3 minutes, hundreds of buildings split and collapsed, including the Meisheng Hotel, Zhangkou Football Stadium, and the Beijing Theater. According to incomplete statistics, the current death toll exceeds 2,000. Chapter 46. The Twilight Society's Secret. The Capitol Theater? Wasn't that the theater he used to work at? Chen Ling recalled the day he was crushed by a chandelier and transmigrated, which was suspected to be due to an earthquake. So he really came back? At the same time, a group of pedestrians also stopped, pointing and gesticulating at the screen. Red meteor? Speaking of which, I think I saw it this morning too. It just zoomed past. Why didn't it hit Earth? Let the world end already. I really don't want to go to work. By the way, what's with this extremely localized earthquake? There was no tremor at all this morning. Is it really only targeting those specific buildings? The news says it's caused by some magnetic pole shift. Whatever, it didn't shake me anyway. Quote. As the news broadcast ended, the building's screen reverted to advertisements. The crowd lingered for a moment, then turned and left. Only Chen Ling stood alone, lost in thought. Red meteor. So, could his transmigration also be related to this meteor? A bus drove past Chen Ling, pulling him back from his chaotic thoughts. He looked at the red, Route 33 inches sign on the bus, as if remembering something, and immediately rushed towards the vehicle. A blur of motion streaked across the sidewalk. He hastily boarded the bus just before its doors closed. Young man, you've got good reflexes. The elderly driver rubbed his eyes. I didn't even see how you got here. Do you train for sprints? Chen Ling only then reacted, looking down at his hands, his brow furrowing deeper. Killing Rhapsody? He brought it back with him? Young man, scan the code. The driver started the bus while pointing with his chin at the QR code payment machine. 2 yuan. Chen Ling rummaged through his pockets. I don't have any money on me. Just scan to pay. No need for cash. I don't have a phone either. As he said this, Chen Ling felt like a savage who had just emerged from primitive society. Oh, don't make it hard on the kid. I just got 2 yuan in change from buying groceries. I'll pay for him. In the front row, a curly-haired auntie pulled 2 coins from her pocket and dropped them into the box with a clink. Thank you, auntie. Chen Ling thanked her politely. Young man, are you an opera singer? I like watching opera too. Auntie, hey, what role do you play? Hearing the auntie say this, Chen Ling realized that he was still wearing that eye-catching red theater gown, which stood out even more inside the bus. I just sing casually. Chen Ling replied awkwardly. The bus seats were already full, so he grabbed a handrail, swaying slightly with the moving vehicle, chatting idly with the auntie. As one bus stop after another passed by the window, Chen Ling's heart gradually tightened. He glanced at the name of the next stop, slowly moved towards the rear door of the bus, and as soon as the bus came to a steady stop, he quickly rushed off. Across from the bus stop was a residential complex. Chen Ling took off his conspicuous red theater gown and walked directly into the complex, traversing the paths with practiced ease until he arrived in front of a low-rise building. Seeing the building safe and sound, Chen Ling finally breathed a sigh of relief. This was his home. His greatest fear was that the earthquake's reach would extend here, and his parents would suffer the same fate as him. Thankfully, everything was safe. Chen Ling entered the unit door, only to find it draped with white mourning silks. His heart sank, and he immediately took the elevator to the 9th floor. As the elevator doors opened, a wail of sorrow reached his ears. Kaiyun, don't cry anymore. If you keep crying like this, what will happen to your body? Yes, if A Ling were still alive, How heartbroken would he be to see you like this? A Ling was a good child. But his life was truly, sigh. Chen Ling stood dazed in the elevator. His gaze passing through the half-open main door. Seeing many figures gathered around a middle-aged woman. Offering sympathetic comfort. Chen Ling recognized them. They were his relatives from the capital. All his aunts and uncles were there. And the woman surrounded in the middle was his mother. The middle-aged woman held a black and white photograph in her arms. Already a tearful mess. The figure in the photograph was Chen Ling himself. Two relatives stood in a corner, conversing quietly. Where's Chen Ling's dad? Still at the hospital, discussing a Ling's funeral arrangements. They said to let Kaiyun come back first to pack up his belongings. Did you see a Ling's body? Yes. The relative nodded. Poor child, his head was smashed with a large hole, supposedly from a falling chandelier. At the hospital, Kaiyun held a Ling's hand and cried for over an hour. Eventually, his dad had to pull her away. Sigh, heaven is blind. Let's go. Console Kaiyun. No matter what, let's first arrange a Ling's funeral. Yes. Chen Ling stood in the elevator, watching everything like a statue. He wanted to step out of the elevator, but he didn't know how to explain himself to his relatives and mother. His mind was in a whirl. Just then, the elevator doors automatically closed. As the metal elevator doors gradually closed, the main door of Chen Ling's home was pushed open, and the relatives, supporting Kaiyun, walked out. Thud. The elevator doors closed, and perhaps someone downstairs pressed a button. As the car slowly began to descend. Mom. Only then did Chen Ling, his lips pale, hoarsely utter the word. He looked at his reflection on the metal elevator door. And his mother's image, kneeling and weeping, reappeared in his mind. He felt a pain like a knife twisting in his heart. He took a deep breath, as if having made up his mind, and frantically pressed the button for the 9th floor. He wanted to see his mother. However, the elevator continued to descend. At the same time, familiar dark green text appeared in the void. Open black lens bracket number 129,439 time limit reached close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket reading interrupted close black lens bracket. Boom. The elevator car plummeted rapidly. Ellipsis. Mom. Amidst the swirling snow, Chen Ling suddenly sat up from the ground. He was breathing heavily, his pupils involuntarily dilated. He looked around and found himself still in Chuwu. Damn it, what the hell is going on? Chen Ling snapped back to reality, unable to help but curse. Just now, he almost thought he had really gone back. But when he opened his eyes, he was still in this wretched place. Chen Ling's gaze fell upon the USB drive in the snow. Open black lens bracket. Through it. Perhaps you can understand us a little better. Close black lens bracket. What exactly was the organization Chu Muyan belonged to? Why did they have a USB drive? And could they even send him back to his previous life? Chen Ling's hands, supporting his body, couldn't help but clench. He took a deep breath, grabbed the USB drive in his hand, and turned to run down the mountain. Ellipsis. Xiaofeng's general store. By the counter, the woman stretched lazily, looking at the gradually dimming twilight outside, and said, "He might not come." "No, he will," Chu Muyan replied with certainty, sitting in a chair and diligently flipping through a book. "Why are you so sure? Over the years, haven't many people rejected the Twilight Society's invitation? The Red King said he would come, so he will definitely come." As Chu Muyan's words fell, the general store's door was forcefully pushed open. Chen Ling stood outside in the heavy snow, his chest heaving violently, as if he had run all the way from somewhere. "We need to have a good talk," he said, holding up the USB drive, enunciating each word. Chapter 47. Reversing the Era. Chu Muyan was not surprised by Chen Ling's arrival. He smiled slightly, pulled a chair out of the small shop, and motioned for Chen Ling to sit down. "It seems you finally have the patience to hear me finish explaining our justice. I'm all ears." Although Chen Ling was eager to know everything about the USB drive, he believed that since Chu Muyan had given it to him, he would definitely explain it. So he patiently waited for Chu Muyan to start from the beginning. "How much do you know about the Great Disaster?" Chen Ling recalled what Lin Doctor had said earlier. They said a crimson meteor streaked across the sky, and the Grey Realm intersected with this world, affecting it, and that disasters would crawl out. That's all. As he spoke, Chen Ling suddenly remembered that he had also seen the crimson meteor from the news on the USB drive. He seemed to have realized something, and his eyes widened in shock. Wait, that on the USB drive? Was that the world before the Great Disaster? Exactly. Chu Muyan looked at him in surprise, seemingly not expecting Chen Ling to guess it so quickly. What you just said is the Great Disaster that most people in the 9 Great Realms know. But the actual Great Disaster is far more than that. What do you mean? According to rumors, the world before the Great Disaster was prosperous and thriving. Humans could use the power of science to do many things, such as flying into the sky, bringing the dead back to life, cities being as bright as day all night long, building virtual worlds within reality, and even leaving this planet to explore the more mysterious and unknown universe. As Chu Muyan spoke, he observed Chen Ling's expression, and finding no emotional fluctuation, he couldn't help but ask, "Aren't you surprised? Huh? What I said, isn't it enough to surprise you?" Chu Muyan, like others in this world, this era, grew up here since childhood, and naturally had never seen the level of technology before the Great Disaster. For them, everything described in legends was ethereal, just like modern people listening to myths. "Oh, it's quite amazing." Chen Ling nodded expressionlessly. "Isn't it just airplanes, medicine, electric lights, games, and spaceships?" These were already commonplace for Chen Ling, who lived in a modern city. However, if his so-called previous life was actually the world before the Great Disaster, then wouldn't that mean he didn't travel between worlds at all, but was traveling through time? In short, 379 years ago, a crimson meteor streaked across the sky, and since then, humanity's material civilization began to regress. Chu Muyan spoke as if reciting a predetermined script. Humanity's proudest technological achievements were the first to collapse: lithography machines, spaceships, and super weapons capable of destroying the world. Are you saying human civilization is regressing? Exactly. People before the Great Disaster found that they could no longer produce these new things. As if the most basic scientific principles within them had all failed. Even if they perfectly assembled each component, identical to before, it just wouldn't work. As time passed, more and more things lost their function: mobile phones, computers, high-speed rail, and large-scale power plants. Panic spread throughout human society. They didn't know how far material civilization would regress. In this fear, they began to kill each other. Wait, Chen Ling interrupted Chu Muyan. The regression of material civilization should be a predicament facing all of humanity. Why didn't they unite and cooperate to overcome the difficulties, but instead killed each other? They united, but it was useless. Chu Muyan paused, and as I said, they possessed certain super weapons capable of destroying the world. But not every country had these weapons. Once these weapons all failed, and everyone's technological civilization regressed to the same level, the original balance of power would be broken. Strong nations would no longer be strong, and weak nations would no longer be weak. To protect their status, resources, and wealth, strong nations would choose to launch all super weapons and wipe out the weak nations that don't possess these weapons? Chen Ling seemed to have realized something. World War? Chen Ling, of course, knew the importance of nuclear weapons to powerful nations. If powerful nations knew first that the technological level of all countries would regress to the same starting line, they would inevitably launch a preemptive war. Because losing weapons meant losing deterrence, and other countries would inevitably covet their oil, wealth, and other things. What you said is basically correct. But strong nations didn't just attack weak nations, they also attacked each other. Because if technological levels truly regressed severely, then human resources would be the true determinant of a nation's survival. They wanted to balance the strength of every nation, so they had to weaken the populations of nations with different stances as much as possible. The culmination of centuries of human civilization, under the tide of regression, ultimately became nothing more than pure killing machines. Chen Ling was silent for a long time, then slowly said, "The intersection of the Grey Realm was not the root cause of the Great Disaster. Humanity's mutual slaughter was. After that great disaster, the world was in ruins. The survivors thought the world had a new order. But unexpectedly, after only a few days, the Grey Realm began to intersect with reality. Pollution from an unknown world eroded the land, and ferocious disasters slaughtered living beings. Human society, already on its last legs, suffered a devastating blow. After that, there were no more countries in the world. Survivors gathered together and established 9 bases. Later, they mastered methods to resist the intersection of the Grey Realm, and the 9 great bases gradually expanded, becoming the current 9 great realms. So that's how it is." Chen Ling sighed deeply. "Wait, If what Chu Muyan said was true, wouldn't that mean his parents would also perish in the great disaster? Not just his parents, but all the relatives, friends, and colleagues he knew would be caught in this catastrophe, and how many could survive it? The people standing on the street watching the news at that time would never have imagined that. Soon after, the world would undergo a tremendous change. Chen Ling's eyes trembled slightly. He now knew everything that had happened in that era. He knew that almost everyone he cared about would perish. Yet he was powerless. That era was almost 400 years ago. What could he do? Knowing it, you told me all this. And then what? Then, it is the sole purpose of our Twilight Society, and the justice we believe in. Chu Muyan pointed outside. What do you think of the Aurora domain? In Chen Ling's mind, Wu Yudong's limping figure immediately appeared. The rickshaw puller's disdain for the enforcer. The sinister and arrogant people of Bingchen Street, and the enforcer who colluded with them for profit. It's very chaotic. In the end, he could only manage these two words. What if I told you that, compared to other realms, the Aurora domain is already quite good? Chen Ling froze. The Twilight Society is a gathering of pitiful wretches rejected by society. In the eyes of the world, we may be madmen, failures, executioners. Our only commonality is that we have completely despaired of this era. So, we gather together, and then what? Chen Ling asked. The dim sunset gradually sank into the earth, and half of Chu Muyan's face was plunged into shadow. He took a deep breath and spoke word by word. Reverse the era, restart the world. Chapter 48. Open black lens bracket, formless close black lens bracket. Reverse the era, restart the world? Chen Ling understood every single one of these 8 words. But put together, he didn't grasp their meaning. It's exactly what it sounds like. Chu Muyan slowly said, to reverse everything from the great disaster to the present, and let human civilization return to the day the Red Star descended. You mean, rewind time? Not rewind, but restart. There's a big difference between the two. Chen Ling looked at Chu Muyan in disbelief. Is it possible? Haven't you already seen it? Chu Muyan pointed to the USB drive in Chen Ling's hand. The result of our attempt. In Chen Ling's mind, he immediately recalled the scene of him traveling back to his previous life, after inserting the USB drive into the snow. Undoubtedly, that was the world he had once existed in, and the era when the Red Star had just descended, and the Twilight Society had perfectly recreated it and sealed it within this USB drive. How did you do it? Restarting the world was utterly fantastical to Chen Ling, yet he was a direct participant. This process is quite complex. We've only managed to complete this 2-hour save file, despite our efforts so far. But we've already found the method. One day, we will make this save file replace history and restart the world. But if the world can truly be restarted, then you yourselves should represent justice. Why are you wanted by the 9 great human realms? Why not join forces with them? Chen Ling countered. Chu Muyan smiled. He pushed up his glasses and spoke calmly. Later, you will understand. Chen Ling was silent for a moment, then nodded slightly. I've told you the most basic philosophy of the Twilight Society. Chu Muyan's eyes fixed on Chen Ling. Now, you must make a decision. Will you join us? Become the highest level wanted criminal of the 9 great realms? Wander for life, despised and feared by the world? Or will you leave? A flicker of light appeared in Chen Ling's eyes. After a brief pause, he slowly raised his head and said firmly, I'll join. Reverse the era, restart the world. To others, the great disaster was just a historical description. But to Chen Ling, it meant the destruction of everything he had. He didn't like this world. He didn't like this era. He wanted to return to where he belonged. To respect his parents. To live a stable life. He also wanted to reverse the predetermined history. To let his father, relatives, and friends all live well. He wanted to go home. Hearing these 3 words, Chu Muyan smiled slightly. He took out 3 playing cards from his pregnant and placed them on the table one by one. Black Spade 6, Red Heart 6, Club 6. What are these? Joining the Twilight Society, for many of our members, means completely abandoning their past, including their names, families, and identities. They use playing card faces to represent themselves. You can choose one too. Why are they all 6s? The number represents seniority. The earlier you join, the higher the number. For your batch, it starts with 6. Chu Muyan shrugged. Actually, 6 isn't bad. I joined a few years before you, and I'm only a 7. Then why are there only 3 suits? What about Fang Kuei? 2 months ago, a new person joined, and Fang Kuei was chosen by him. Alright, Chen Ling's gaze swept over the 3 playing cards. He subconsciously touched his chest. Beneath the skin, it was empty. I choose red heart. Open black lens bracket red heart 6 close black lens bracket. Chu Muyan raised an eyebrow, nodded, and pushed the card in front of Chen Ling. Then, officially welcome to the Twilight Society. Open black lens bracket red heart 6 close black lens bracket. The woman who had been silently sitting in the corner appropriately began to applaud. Chen Ling gave her a strange look. The woman yawned again and turned her head away. Is she also a member of the Twilight Society? What card is she? She doesn't have a god path and no other abilities. She's just an ordinary person. So she's only an peripheral member. Generally responsible for transmitting messages. Basically in every realm, every city. What card are you? Open black lens bracket black spade 7 close black lens bracket. Chen Ling nodded. He looked at the open black lens bracket red heart 6 close black lens bracket in his hand. Suddenly feeling a sense of unreality. He had just casually drawn a playing card from a small store. And now he was a Twilight Society member wanted by the 9 Great Realms. Just a few hours ago, he had been convinced it was a cult. There are only 3 copies of that save file in the entire Twilight Society. Red King and Grey King each have one. This copy will temporarily be kept with you for safekeeping. But it can only be activated once a month. Otherwise, the contents inside will be damaged. What should I do next? Chen Ling asked. Do I need to report somewhere, do paperwork, and then live in some dormitory? Chu Muyan shook his head, speechless. The Twilight Society is an organization, and the management of its members' personal behavior is very lax. You can do whatever you want, as long as there's a mission. Complete it as soon as possible. Then disguise yourself well and ensure you are not discovered by the human realm. Speaking of disguise, you should be the best at it. Me? Didn't you embark on the drama god path? Disguising yourself as different characters should be your strength, Chu Muyan said matter-of-factly. Moreover, your ability seems even more abnormal than a normal drama god path. Drama god path, ability? Chen Ling seemed to remember something. He reached his fingertips to his chin. And with a thought, he tore off his entire face in the next moment. Under the woman's astonished gaze, 2 identical Chu Muyans sat opposite each other. That's right, that's it. The Chu Muyan on the left nodded. After embarking on a god path, each time you advance a stage, you automatically gain a corresponding ability. The ability will vary depending on the path you choose. You've embarked on a twisted god path, so your ability should also be unique. I see. The Chu Muyan on the right looked down at his body. Even his attire and speaking voice had changed. If the woman hadn't known their seating arrangement beforehand, she wouldn't have been able to distinguish which one was the real open black lens bracket black spade 7 close black lens bracket. At this moment, as far as I know, the first stage ability of a normal drama god path is called open black lens bracket 1000 faces close black lens bracket, which allows for free changes of face and voice, but not into objects. You, however, can do all of that. Chu Muyan paused. You are the only one who has embarked on this path. Aren't you going to name this ability? Open black lens bracket 1000 faces close black lens bracket. Chen Ling thought for a moment. Since that's the case, my ability shall be called open black lens bracket formless close black lens bracket. Formless and shapeless. Form arises from the heart. Your god path is quite peculiar. Although its power is strong, its side effects are also very obvious. Without an accident, every time you advance, you will experience short-term mental confusion. You must pay particular attention to this. Mental confusion? Did I have it when I advanced? Quote ellipsis quote. Chen Ling didn't remember the process of transforming into a gun barrel in Chen Yan and wreaking havoc. Chu Muyan briefly described it to him, then looked at the dim night outside and slowly stood up. Time is almost up. I should go. Where to? Back to Aurora City. I still have a mission there. As he spoke, Chu Muyan took out a letter from his pregnant and handed it to Chen Ling. What is this? This is your mission, Chu Muyan replied seriously. A mission personally issued to you by Red King. Perhaps only you in the entire Twilight Society can complete it. Chapter 49. The Price of Progress. It was already dark when Chen Ling emerged from Xiaofeng's general store. Chu Muyan waved him goodbye and walked straight towards Aurora City, while Chen Ling stood at the storefront, watching him leave, then walked in another direction. The heavy snow had stopped, but what followed was the bitter cold of melting ice. Chen Ling walked on a deserted, snow-covered path, his breath misting in the darkness. His right hand rubbed the USB drive in his pocket, and his eyes shimmered with an unprecedented brightness. Restart. Chen Ling took a deep breath and walked resolutely into the darkness. With a clear goal, the shadow brought by the audience seemed to have lightened considerably. So what if he was an actor on a stage? So what if his life was interfered with? Unless they killed him, he would definitely go back. Even if he died, he would die on the way home. And before that, he had to grow quickly and simultaneously conceal his identity as a member of the Twilight Society. Becoming an enforcement officer seemed like a good choice. The Twilight Society did not resist members joining other organizations. In fact, they encouraged it, because it meant members could better hide themselves, and even use their positions to provide assistance to other members. I become, I participate, I disrupt, I run away. This policy really is spot on. Chen Ling chuckled self-deprecatingly. He returned home, lit the kerosene lamp on the table, and the orange candlelight illuminated the empty room. The cold wind seeped through the gaps in the wooden wallboards, making a mournful hum. Chen Ling sat at the table, took out the envelope Chu Muyan had given him, and read it carefully by the light of the lamp. Infiltrate the Soldier's Path ancient treasury, and steal a fragment of the Soldier's Path Foundation? Chen Ling raised an eyebrow in surprise. This letter detailed a partial map of the Soldier's Path ancient treasury, with one corner marked in red. If there were no surprises, that would be what Red King wanted him to steal. Chen Ling finally understood why Chu Muyan said that only he, among the entire Twilight Society, could complete this mission. Because only Chen Ling was an enforcer, and he had just passed the assessment as the top student, qualifying him to enter the Soldier's Path ancient treasury. At the same time, he also possessed the open black lens bracket formless close black lens bracket skill. Aside from Chen Ling, no one else would have a chance to enter the Soldier's Path ancient treasury. But why did the Twilight Society want a fragment of the Soldier's Path Foundation? Chen Ling continued to read. Red King did not explain this in the letter, only telling him that a member of the Twilight Society would meet him there, coordinate his movements, and cover his retreat. After reading all the contents, Chen Ling pondered for a moment, then fed the letter into the candlelight. The letter curled, the bright flame reflecting on Chen Ling's face, flickering silently in the darkness. Ellipsis. That night, after Chen Ling fell asleep, he did not enter the theater. He had a dream. He dreamed that he had returned to the era before the Great Disaster, to the familiar doorstep of his home, standing in the elevator, watching his mother, holding his portrait, sobbing uncontrollably. Chen Ling felt his heart wrenching, even though his chest was empty. Mom, I'm not dead. Chen Ling walked out of the elevator, muttering, wanting to embrace the family member he cared about most. Mom, I'm still alive. I want all of you to be alive. Just as his foot was about to step out of the elevator door, the elevator car plummeted. A strong sense of weightlessness enveloped Chen Ling. He struggled helplessly inside the car, only to see the elevator shaft seemingly become infinitely long. In the endless descent, he could only watch his home rapidly receding. Thud. Chen Ling fell to the ground. This was an endless darkness. The lights of home seemed to have turned into stars, dotting the unreachable sky. Chen Ling stood in the darkness, like an ant cast into an abyss, foolishly reaching out, attempting to touch the starry sky. Just as despair filled his heart, a blood-red divine path extended from beneath his feet, stretching all the way to the stars beyond his reach. That was his way home. A twisted, bizarre, crimson path. On both sides of the path, countless pairs of crimson eyes watched him, their gazes full of mockery. Chen Ling was currently standing on the first step. He wanted to ascend higher as quickly as possible, but when he tried to take the next step, he found that his foot could not, no matter what, land on the next step. Chen Ling froze. He looked down at his feet and found a line of scrawled text on this stone step. Open black lens bracket, complete a performance with at least 50 participants, and ensure no one survives after the performance ends, close black lens bracket. The moment he saw this line of text, the confusion in Chen Ling's heart grew even stronger. He looked back behind him and suddenly found another line of text on the steps he had already crossed. Open black lens bracket, lose the person who loves you most, and become him, close black lens bracket. A line was drawn across the surface of this small text, like a completed performance checklist, trampled under his feet. Chen Ling seemed to understand something. He looked again at this twisted path leading to the sky, and terror appeared in his eyes. This was a living path. A monstrous path. The next moment, everything around him shattered. At midnight, Chen Ling woke up with a start from his dream. He stayed on the bed, pale-faced, for a moment, then rushed off the bed like a madman to his desk, picked up a pen and paper, and quickly wrote down the words from the next step, as if afraid he would forget them. Open black lens bracket, complete a performance with at least 50 participants. And ensure no one survives after the performance ends, close black lens bracket. Is this the price of advancing on the twisted divine path? Or, a condition? Chen Ling murmured to himself. Chen Ling knew that everything just now was not as simple as a dream. He hadn't entered the theater after falling asleep today, which was an abnormality in itself. Perhaps this dream was an implicit message from his own divine path? Or, was it Ayan? This path is a bit different from other divine paths. It will make your life twisted and bumpy. Chen Ling recalled Chen Yan's words before he embarked on the twisted divine path, and fell into deep thought. Other people's divine paths shouldn't have this kind of price thing. Otherwise Chu Muyan should have reminded him today. So, these small texts on the stone steps are unique to his twisted divine path? Is this what Chen Yan meant by twisted and bumpy? Chen Ling looked at the line of text he had written on the paper. His expression somewhat complex, but now he had already embarked on this path. And this path would be his only way to escape the audience, and his only choice to go home. Even so, how was he supposed to complete this horrifying performance, involving at least 50 people? Chen Ling sat at the table, pondering for a long time. As if he had thought of something. He slowly wrote 4 characters after the sentence with his pen. Open black lens bracket, soldier's path, ancient treasury, close black lens bracket. Then, he wrote the tip of the pen paused on the last dot of the question mark. And the dark ink spread on the paper. Chen Ling sat there like a statue, unmoving. The aurora surged in the sky outside the window. Chen Ling did not notice that. At this moment, in the grand theater of his mind, the countless dark figures sitting in the audience seats had their lips slightly upturned, as if smiling. Chapter 50. Diligence. 3rd District. Enforcer Headquarters. You're Chen Ling, right? An enforcer carefully verified Officer Chen Ling's identity, then handed him 2 sets of black and red uniforms and an enforcement officer's badge. Officer Chen Ling changed into his clothes, had lunch at the headquarters, and then in the afternoon, he took an oath and officially joined at the headquarters plaza, followed by a leader's speech. This whole process made Officer Chen Ling feel increasingly like he had returned to modern society. Even nearly 400 years after the Great Disaster, some human habits have been preserved, from which one can glimpse the shadow of pre-disaster civilization. The only thing that surprised Officer Chen Ling was that the leader giving the speech wasn't Officer Han Meng, but another 2-mark enforcement officer he hadn't seen much of. Where's Officer Han Meng? Why isn't he speaking? Another enforcer nearby also voiced the question. Don't you know? I heard that the enforcement officers in the 3rd District rebelled a couple of days ago. It was Ma Zhang, who, along with 2 other enforcement officers, ambushed Officer Han Meng, but he ended up counter-killing them. Is that true or false? Of course, it's true. It's said that Officer Han Meng was furious that night and executed Ma Zhang and the other 2 on the spot before Aurora City had even officially approved it. He also killed more than 50 enforcers who had vested interests with them. Haven't you noticed that a large number of enforcers are missing today? Good heavens, killing so many people in one go. Isn't that like cutting off the arms of the 3rd District's enforcers? Is Officer Han Meng that ruthless? Now, the entire 3rd District only has 2 enforcement officers left. One is Officer Han Meng, and the other is Shi Renji, who is currently on stage. This Shi Renji was personally promoted by Officer Han Meng. Although he's only a 2-mark, his background is very clean. However, I heard that because Officer Han Meng didn't report it in time and acted privately to kill people, Aurora City is very angry and might deal with him during this period. So that's why he couldn't show up. Alas, what a pity. Ellipsis. Hearing the conversation beside him, Officer Chen Ling's eyebrows lifted slightly. He suddenly recalled yesterday afternoon when Officer Han Meng was at his home. And after a long silence, he said, whether you believe me or not, I have always been fulfilling my duty. If you truly feel that this world lacks justice, why not become it yourself? Chu Muyan's previous evaluation of Officer Han Meng also mentioned his sense of justice. It seems Officer Han Meng might really have something to him. After Enforcement Officer Shi Renji finished his speech, he began assigning tasks to the newcomers and the streets each would be responsible for patrolling from then on. As the only enforcer from Han Shuang Street this year, Officer Chen Ling was naturally assigned to Han Shuang Street. After Officer Han Meng purged the 3rd District's enforcers, the enforcer internal affairs certainly became much cleaner. Officer Chen Ling thought this as he walked out of the headquarters and headed straight for Han Shuang Street. On his first day as an enforcer, he needed to patrol his assigned street to let the residents become familiar with him, which was also a form of declaring sovereignty. This was an internal regulation of the enforcers. Ever since he put on the uniform and walked out of the enforcer headquarters, passers-by would walk around him when they saw him, not even daring to make eye contact. "Officer, would you like a peach?" An old voice came from the side. Officer Chen Ling turned his head and saw a white-haired old woman pushing a wooden cart full of peaches. Speaking hoarsely, "No, thank you." Officer Chen Ling waved his hand in refusal. "Officer, please try one. I pushed these from the 4th District this morning. The peaches there are both good and cheap." She grabbed Officer Chen Ling's collar, her cloudy eyes full of pleading. Officer Chen Ling looked down her body and saw a baby wrapped in swaddling clothes lying on the fruit cart filled with peaches. The biting cold wind swept across the ground, and he seemed to be trembling. "Just take a bite, no charge if it's not good." She picked out the largest peach from the cart, carefully wiped it with her clothes for a moment, and handed it to Officer Chen Ling. Officer Chen Ling didn't eat it, because he wasn't sure if there was anything else inside the peach, such as poison. When this thought appeared in his mind, he was startled himself, because he used to not be like this. If it were him before the great disaster, no. Even if it were him yesterday, he would definitely have lent a hand. Although he couldn't help much, he could at least buy a few peaches, which would count as an act of kindness. This was his benevolence and steadfastness. But now, these things seemed to be fading little by little. Officer Chen Ling looked at the old woman for a moment, then spoke. "How much are these peaches?" "1 copper coin per jin." "Give me 2 jin." Officer Chen Ling expressionlessly pulled out 2 copper coins from his pocket and handed them to her. Seeing this, the old woman immediately took the copper coins with both hands and bowed to Officer Chen Ling several times, muttering thanks. Then she picked out some of the largest peaches from the cart and put them into a bag. At the same time, Officer Chen Ling suddenly spoke. "That child has a fever. Take him to get some medicine." Officer Chen Ling, possessing the secret eye, immediately saw that the baby on the cart was not well and offered a reminder. The old woman's body stiffened, and struggle and guilt appeared in her eyes as she looked at the baby. But she still said nothing, only silently picking 2 more peaches for Officer Chen Ling. She didn't weigh them, but even with his naked eye, Officer Chen Ling knew that these 2 bags of peaches were definitely more than 2 jin. "Thank you, officer. Thank you, officer." After repeatedly thanking Officer Chen Ling, she pushed her cart and continued forward, until she met the next passerby. She hurried forward and pleaded, "Sir, do you want peaches?" Peaches pushed from the 4th District. The cold wind blew her and the baby's faces crimson, but it did not blow down her old and weak body. Officer Chen Ling touched his pocket and shook his head helplessly. He only bought 2 jin because he only had 2 copper coins left in his pocket. The silver coins he had received from Qianfan had long been left in the bloodstain at the mansion. As soon as he walked onto Han Shuang Street, he noticed many people secretly standing at their doorsteps, looking in this direction. When they saw Officer Chen Ling approaching in uniform, they all whispered amongst themselves, "Oh, Officer Chen Ling." The first shop on the street was the cake shop Officer Chen Ling had visited before. The boss Li saw Officer Chen Ling approaching and immediately showed a fawning smile. "Officer Chen Ling, you look so handsome in that uniform." Boss Li. Officer Chen Ling walked to the storefront and looked at the residents of Han Shuang Street standing at their doorsteps, asking, "What's going on?" "Oh, everyone's here to see you." "See me?" "Yes." The enforcer who was originally responsible for patrolling our Han Shuang Street was reportedly killed by Officer Han Meng. Today is the day a new enforcer takes office, so everyone wanted to see who would be in charge of this street from now on. When the list of enforcers who passed the assessment was released on the street that day, everyone guessed it might be you, since you're from our Han Shuang Street. And sure enough, here you are.